What's the scariest thing that's happened while you were home alone? Story 1. I was home alone at my dad's while he was working nights, making my dinner and everything. I was probably about 14 or 15 at the time. I was watching TV while my potatoes were cooking when I heard something slam into the front door. I grabbed my pocket knife and check it out. Nothing. About 10 minutes later, I hear another bang on the front door. Repeat, and still nothing. Really freaked me out because we'd had a few houses get broken into on my street. Turns out I didn't put enough holes into my baked potatoes and they exploded in the oven. Story 2. I was home alone one night and it was close to Halloween in 2015. Loud knock on the front door. I was eating dinner, so I slowly but cautiously go to the front door. Open it up and there is blood all over the front porch and no one there. Kind of freaked out a bit, thought it was a prank. Called the cops because what the fuck you know. They said they would send someone there. They called back and said someone was on a bike and fell and was bleeding bad and was going door to door asking for help. I missed the person, but one of my neighbors helped them out apparently. Crazy. Story 3. The scariest thing that happened to me, I didn't know actually happened until the following day. I lived in an apartment in a not so good part of a dangerous city with my boyfriend who worked nights. One day our friend came over and called me to let him in our building in a hurry. Turns out this guy had been crouched by my car in the parking lot and had approached our friend and closed in on him. My friend pulled out a weapon and the guy ran off. Upstairs I noticed that the guy had left a green bundle near my car and assumed he would be back for it. It made me uncomfortable, so I suggested we call the cops. Not 5 minutes after a cop showed up to ask where the guy had gone, SWAT? Canine? And about 10 cars showed up and swarmed our area. Turns out the guy had escaped from the county the night before with 2 other guys. He was in jail for assault with a deadly weapon and repeated domestic violence offenses. He had climbed the fence in the yard behind our building where our landlord kept his camper, broken into the camper, and stayed there the night before. He had stolen all the electronics out of it as well as a butcher knife and was trying to break into my car before my friend showed up. I had been alone the night before and had taken my dog down to the yard to go to the bathroom. I noticed that the barbed wire on the top of the fence had fallen down and my dog was nervous, but I brushed it off. The guy had been in the camper watching me the whole time and I never knew it. Story 4. Probably pretty lame compared to most stories on here. Was working pretty late, 2 a.m. on my computer when I got an alert from my security camera that detected motion. I checked it and there was a person staring into my apartment window in full view of where I was working. I closed the computer, turned off the lights and went into the bathroom for a bit. Turns out being extra paranoid when someone is staring into your apartment at 2 a.m. isn't a good combination. I checked the camera memory and the guy was there for 20 minutes, just real casual. Called the cops and the kid ran away and came back an hour later. Haven't seen him since. Story 5. I was watching some sort of ghost TV show about demons or something in my basement. Home alone when I was probably 14 or 15. A fucking turkey walked up to the sliding door and started tapping on the glass. I noped the fuck out of that basement so fast. I don't think I ever watched that show again either. Edit. The show was called A Haunting. Story 6. It was about 8:30 at night and I heard the front door open. I called out from my room asking why my mom and dad were home only a half hour after they left for dinner. I almost shit my pants and straight up jumped out of my bedroom window when a random male voice replied, "What? There's somebody in here?" Turns out it was somebody who got hired to check on one of our neighbor's dog when they were on vacation, and he got the wrong house address, but the raw fear that gripped me when I heard his voice still gives me nightmares. Story 7. There had been a scratching in my ceiling for a while, and my landlady was dragging her feet over having it looked into. One night, around 2 a.m., the scratching became so bad it woke me up from a dead sleep. I tried to reassure myself that whatever it was couldn't really get through to me, and I would be fine until I could call my landlady the next day and really press the issue. Then some debris fell from my ceiling. Whatever was up there had managed to dig a small hole into my room. I screamed and heard some scurrying away from my approximate location. Grabbed any stuff I needed for the next day, got the fuck out of there, shut the door tight behind me, and slept on the couch. I called my landlady first thing in the morning, and she had someone come while I was at work that day to check it out. A mama raccoon had managed to get her way into the space between the roof and my ceiling and had given birth to a litter of kits. The guy speculated that the kids were getting old enough to start wrestling around, and that was likely what led to the hole in my ceiling. Luckily, it was just small, the size of a quarter, so there weren't any angry raccoons hanging out in my room when I got home. They were able to safely trap and release the whole little family, but I still started hunting for new apartments as soon as possible. I move into my new place on May 1st. Story 8. When I was younger, my mom left me and my little brother home alone while she ran to the store. I was in middle school, so old enough to be left home safely for an hour, and my bro was only 2 years younger. Mom leaves, and me and my brother are watching TV in the living room, and we see a bunch of smoke from the big bay window facing the front yard shortly after she leaves. We look, and a car has crashed into the ditch that is next to our driveway. I grab the phone, and we go out on the porch. I call 911 and give them my address. Then I call my grandma and tell her what happened. Cops and the whole emergency entourage gets there. I go talk to the cops. Mind you, we lived on a state route. It's a 2-lane road, so the entire section of road in front of my house is closed off. My mom rounds the corner of the side road to pull onto the street and sees a ton of cop cars in-out driveway and shutting down the road. 2 fire trucks, at least 2 ambulances. And as any mom seeing this freaks out. Note about the road in our house. The road is significantly higher than the ditch, so it is entirely possible to miss the wrecked car, especially when you know you left your kids home alone. They allow her to park in the neighbor's driveway since ours is currently occupied, and we see her sprinting across the yards. The cops intercept her. She sees that me and my brother are okay and is able to calm down enough to talk to the cops. Long story short, the car crashed in our front yard when I was left home alone. Gave mom a heart attack from all the emergency vehicles surrounding her house when tried to drive down the road. Story 9. I was probably 9 years old, my sister was 6. We had a babysitter who was 12, so alone in the sense that no adults were around. Jackass that I was, I squirted bug spray on my sister and she chased me in retaliation. I ran through some French glass doors to get away from her. She went for the knob and missed. Her arm went through one of the glass panes. She cut herself so deep you could see muscle, tendons, and bone. It looked like a shittily cut piece of raw meat, since that's basically what it was. The babysitter held a piece of cloth on my sister's arm until my mom came home, called her right away, and took my sister to the ER. She didn't hit an artery, so it wasn't as bad as it could have been, but it was scary as f*** at the time. Got 60 stitches out of it. Story 10. Early teen years. Power went out while I was taking a shower late at night. I got out of the shower already freaked out and looked outside through the window. My house was the only one without power. Stupid teenage brain. This is clearly an attempt on my life. Reality, house had a weird problem where the power would cut out if the water heater and air conditioner happened to turn on the same time. It had never happened to me before that, but my dad assured me that was the problem once he finally came home. Story 11. It was a hot summer and my parents went to a wedding. I had a project to do and it was like 1 a.m. and silent until a random drunk dude crawled in through my window with a bottle and blush face. I was 20 feet away at my desk from the window and we both just stared at each other. He was flustered and said, "Oh, sorry there, kid, wrong house," and attempts to leave the way he came. He was drunk and dizzy, so I helped him by pushing him out the window. I thoroughly shut it and stared at it for 2 hours until my parents came home. Story 12. Someone tried to break into my neighbor's house while I was babysitting their kids. I was 15 and I used to babysit for my neighbors down the block. They had a really nice house, 3 floors with a built-in garage under the house that connected to the basement. It was the family's most used entrance of the house, and they rarely locked the basement door as long as the garage was closed. They also had the type of security system where anytime a door opened you heard beep, beep, beep. After the parents left one night, I was putting the kids to bed and I heard the beep, beep, beep. I yelled out thinking it was the parents coming back for something, but no one answered. The system on the wall kept reading basement door open. I was freaked out, so I called my dad and asked him to come by since he was only a few houses away. When he arrived, he told me to stay in the kitchen while he checked the house, but before he could, we heard the beep, beep, beep again, and then the garage door opened. When we ran to the window to see if the parents were pulling into the driveway, they weren't. Instead, someone in a hoodie was running out of the garage door and into the woods behind the house. My dad ended up calling the cops. I'm still creeped out by it. Story 13. I was in my basement where the computer was, playing some game, probably RuneScape, and heard someone pull into the driveway. Naturally, assuming it was my mother who was coming home from work, I heard the screen door open, but when no one opened the lock on the actual door, I started to go upstairs and I saw a pair of legs go by the window while the basement was underground. There was about a foot that popped up above ground level and had 2 windows. I go upstairs and see 2 dudes in my backyard looking at the windows and talking about the door was locked. It was was an attempted home robbery. We had been broken into a few times at that point and had everything locked, but 10-year-old me was terrified. Edit. Because you guys keep asking, they just left. Nothing happened. No home alone shit. I did not get killed. I am very much alive. Story 14. Just me and my mom. She got drunk and fell down the stairs. She knocked herself out cold, and I had to administer CPR while the paramedics came. She has no recollection of this incident, denies it, and no one else in my family can relate to how scary it is seeing someone almost die and having their life in your hands. I don't know how first responders do it. Story 15. This just happened last week. I woke up to someone in my house. Walking up the stairs to my bedroom, it was about 1 p.m. and I work third shift, so I was sleeping. In my haste, I didn't grab my bat. I whip open my door and it's my ex-best friend, whom I've blocked on every social media site. She starts yelling at me for not responding to her and how she misses me. I don't know what scared me more. The split second I realized there was an intruder, or that someone I knew would just take it upon themselves to force me to talk to them by trespassing. Story 16. When I was around 8 or 9, my mom commuted to a major city about an hour or hour and a half away, so I would bring myself home from school, about 100 meters away, lock the door, and watch cartoons or play Neopets until she got home. We lived in apartment blocks, and one day one of the older male people in the apartment lost his wallet, and he figured it must have been me. Keep in mind, I've never stolen anything in my life or had any trouble with the law, and I had no clue what he was talking about. He came and banged on the door so aggressively that I jumped out of my skin and was belligerent, demanding I open the door. I rang Mom crying and she jumped on a train to come home, but she was an hour and a half away. She called some friends and they came and got me. And at that stage, he had taken a break and gone back to his apartment, but left his dry cleaning there. When Mom got back, she stormed straight to his door and pounded on it like he had done to our door. He came to the door, all shocked, and she demanded to know why he thought it was appropriate to bang on the door for an hour to scare a little girl. He replied that he thought I stole his wallet. Mom asked him if he still thought I did, and he said no, I found it in the car park. She looked like she wanted to kill him and forced him to apologize. Also, in that same apartment block, there was a hairline fracture on the sliding door that we didn't know about. A strong wind blew and shattered the entire window inwards. I was home alone then too. That was scary as duck. Story 17. Not super scary, but one time when I was like 11, I was home alone at night and got a call from the local sheriff's office who told me they just had a drop 911 call from this number, my house landline, and asked if I was okay. I didn't call them. Nobody else was home to call them. I don't know, it just creeped me out a lot. Story 18. It was a spooky movie night at a friend's, and we were 3 movies deep. Just finished watching Dark Skies. I was hungry, so I was like, alright, getting my leftovers, so I went downstairs by myself. When I closed the fridge, I caught movement out of the corner of my eye, and when I turned to see what it was, there was a ghostly white skeletal thing just staring at me from outside the patio with shimmering hazy lights pulsing behind it. I fucking freaked, dropped my food, and run up the stairs nearly in tears, babbling about someone or thing in the backyard. Turns out it was just my own reflection mixed with the lights and steam from the hot tub outside, but I've never been so scared in my life. Story 19. I was actually at a friend's house when her parents weren't home. We were maybe 10. It was her, my sister, her sisters, and me. We decided to go swimming. There had been a rash of burglaries lately, but mostly garages being broke into. Anyway, we were in the pool when we noticed the kitchen light turn on. It was evening. We assumed her parents so looked in the window to do something stupid to get their attention when we realized we do not know the individual in the house. We hid behind the wall of the pool, above ground, terrified until her parents finally came home. It appeared as though he got spooked as he only ransacked the kitchen and left the garage door wide open when fleeing. Story 20. Not sure if this counts. I was working on a farm in Northern California. It was a startup, and I was the only person at nights on an isolated 650 acres. After dinner, I was walking from the lodge to my cabin, 100 yards plus. It's dark, so all I can see is what my flashlight illuminates, plus a little on the periphery of the main beam. Anyway, walking back and in the periphery, I see red fucking eyes staring at me unblinkingly. I turn the light on it, and all I see is a pale white mass behind the still red eyes. I freaked. Takes a little bit to get me jumpy, but this sure as hell did. Picture a 6'5", 260 pounds man. Now picture him letting out an unbelievably high-pitched scream and straight sprinting into his cabin, 50 yards or so. The next day, I was talking to one of the guys that came up to help out during the day, told him what happened, and he about fell over laughing. I think the sincere terror in my voice as I described the pale monster really drove the funny nail home for him. Well, turns out there's such a thing as albino deer, and just so happens one frequents this property. Nobody thought to warn me beforehand. Story 21. My parents let me walk home from school alone when I was in 4th grade. In my current adult opinion, that's way too young. So I walk home from school, house is empty till about 5 when my parents get home. So I'm doing my usual routine. Mountain Dew Code Red, Doritos 3Ds, and Tuna Me on Cartoon Network. So I'm only home for about 3 minutes when I hear a knock at the door. 99% of the time, I stay quiet and just wait for whoever to leave. But for whatever reason, I actually go to the door and call out. Who is it? Stranger dude voice on the other side. Hey, it's your buddy Mike. I don't have a grown-ass man buddy Mike. I'm in 4th grade. My shit goes cold. Heart in my throat. Goosebumps. Cannot move, paralyzed, terrified. Dude says again, hey, open the door. We gotta go. And he jiggles the door handle really hard. Then he knocks again. Bam, bam, bam. Jiggles the door handle hard again. I'm still like 1 foot away from the door. I actually never moved since all of this started because I didn't want him to hear my footsteps. After a minute of silence, I heard a car door close and him drive away. I'm still freaked the fuck out for the next hour. And worst thing was I was now super paranoid about walking to from school because obviously he followed me that day and I had no idea I was being tailed. Story 22. My house came with an alarm that kept track of movement in every room. I set the alarm before bed, but I woke up in the middle of the night because it was alerting me that there was movement going back and forth between my guest bedroom, down the hall, and into my office. My alarm has a robotic speaking voice, so in the dark I'd hear it say, movement guest bedroom, movement second floor hallway, movement office, etc. I assumed it was a glitch and nothing to worry about, but I ended up turning that function off. I also heard human footsteps above me in my attic once, home alone while my wife was out of town, but I posted that one already months ago. Clarification edit. My original phrasing is confusing, so I wanted to clarify. I got up immediately and searched through my entire house. Couldn't find anything, figured it was a glitch, and turned the feature off the next day. I didn't ignore the alarm that night. Story 23. I was chilling in my bed with my dog watching TV and I hear a door shut downstairs. I look out the window of my sister's room because she had a view of the garage, but the garage was empty. I grabbed a pocket knife and crept downstairs. I searched the basement as well as everywhere on the ground floor and found nothing. Went back to my room on edge for the next couple of hours until my family got home. Still don't know what happened. And it couldn't have been wind because it was winter, so we had all the windows closed. Not that scary, but a door closing when you're home alone and not even 12 is a little spooky. Story 24. My girlfriend and I both travel a lot for work, pre-COVID, so it's not unusual for only one of us to be home on any given week. Last fall, she was in San Francisco, and I was home alone for a few days. We live in an apartment on the top floor of a building. Above us is a roof with a deck available to everyone. Middle of the night, I get up to use the bathroom, and on the walk back to bed, I look over to the study. There's a sliding door in the study leading to a balcony. I immediately stop dead in my tracks. I see the outline of a person standing on my balcony, facing me. I run over, hit the lights, grab a knife from the knife block, and start dialing 911. The person is a kid, no more than 16. He sees me hit the lights, grab a knife and my phone, and he immediately grabs the railing on my balcony and flings himself over. I run over, assuming I just watched someone kill themselves, only to see him safe and sound on the balcony below me. He then hurdles off that balcony. He's jumping from floor to floor. He hits the parking lot in the back of our building safely, and then sprints off. Cops finally come and break up a party on the roof. Turns out he was just a drunk friend of someone on the second floor and got dared to do it. Also, shout out to my dog for being asleep 15 feet from the balcony and not doing anything. Story 25. Well, my house was sort of out farther away from town. We had neighbors, but they were few and far between. There was a hiking trail opening across the street from our driveway, which was very long and can't be seen from the trail. My room had a large window facing out to the driveway. Anyway, I was home alone, cleaning my room and singing "We Are the Champions" extremely loudly, as well as playing it on my TV. Looked up and suddenly saw a manpower walking up my driveway very quickly. It's obvious no one is home but me since there aren't any cars in the driveway. So I ran to the front door, which was open because it was hot as outside, and locked it and closed and locked my window. Turns out bro-friend did not like that. I called 911 because he was still approaching my house, and I was getting scared by his demeanor. And while on the phone with the 911 operator, he started banging on my front window by the door and then the door itself. He tried kicking in the door and tried breaking the window. I went and hid in my mom's closet because it locked from the inside only, with a knife until the cops showed up. By the time they showed up, he was gone, and there were hand and shoes prints all over the door and front window, and some handprints on my bedroom window. They found him about an hour later walking up and down my street. He told them that he heard my pretty singing voice and just wanted to say hi. He was also drunk, but admitted to being sober at the time of the incident and started drinking after I rejected him. He also told them that he planned to come in and have some fun with me after he found that I was home alone, and that he was waiting for nighttime to come back. So yeah, had a lot of nightmares about that one. Long story short, man tried to break in because he heard me singing, couldn't get in, gave up, then went and got drunk. Police found and arrested him an hour later. Then he admitted to them that he wanted to rape me. Story 26. My grandparents paid me to house sit for them and take care of their animals. 2 dogs, 2 goats, and like 3 or 4 horses. For 2 weeks, one of the dogs was really clingy, so I closed the door on him when I went to bed one night. I woke up in the middle of the night, but I was too tired to move. But I saw a black figure with a white face standing right beside the bed. It was making this horrific growling noise and leaned into me and pressed down on my chest. It pressed harder and harder, and then I was able to move my fingers, and then I was eventually able to move my body. But after that, I let the dog sleep in the room and I slept with the lights on. That was the first time I experienced sleep paralysis, and thankfully the times after that, one, weren't freaky,